This time, we will look at the average egogram of people with high FC. Here, a high FC score means that the person's FC score is within the top 10% among all test participants. The total number of participants is 8,255. Among them, 918 people are in this group, and the ratio is 11.1%. The standard is the top 10% in FC. When we look at the average scores of their 6 ego states, CP is 34.4, NP is 35.9, A is 30.4, FC is 41.8, AC is 34.3, and SC is 34.5. Compared with the overall average, FC is 10.9 points higher than the overall average of 30.9. So the first thing that stands out in this table is, of course, FC. This group has a structure where emotion, response, laughter, facial expression, and body movement come out quickly. When something feels good, that feeling may show. When something is fun, laughter may come first. When the person is surprised, the facial expression may move first. However, these are not people who have only FC. CP, NP, AC, and SC are also similar to the average or higher than the average. Still, because FC stands so far at the front, quick emotional expression and liveliness are likely to be seen before the other ego states in ordinary relationships. In particular, A is 30.4, which is almost the same as the overall average. It is difficult to see it as low, but the gap from FC is very large. Because of this, in this structure, it is not that there is no thinking, rather emotional expression may arrive before thought. When we look at people with high FC, the first point to remember is this. These are people whose emotions that rise moment by moment come out quickly. FC is the force that takes care of spontaneity, emotional expression, liveliness, playfulness, and immediate response inside the mind. So when FC is high, this kind of flow is likely to appear first when the person looks at a scene. I like it. This is fun. I do not like it. I am surprised. I want to respond to this atmosphere right now. These people find it difficult to pretend there is no emotion. Joy, disappointment, surprise, excitement, and hurt feelings can come out quickly through facial expression, tone of voice, and body movement. Because of this, people around them may feel that this person is lively, brings the atmosphere alive, responds quickly, and shows energy clearly on the outside. However, it is not enough to see this structure simply as a bright person. FC is not simply an ego state that expresses enjoyment. FC is an expression channel that brings out emotions and ego states that rise inside. Because of this, when FC is high, it is not only good emotions that come out. Pleasant feelings show clearly. Hurt feelings also show clearly. Discomfort may also appear on the face. When a standard rises, that can also come out immediately through words and facial expression. When a wish to take care of someone rises, that can also be expressed brightly and quickly. In this group, CP, NP, AC, and SC are lower than FC, but all are similar to the average or higher than the average. So when these ego states operate, they can have real force. However, because FC is high, these ego states are more likely to appear outside than to stay quietly inside. When CP operates, standards or dissatisfaction may come out immediately through facial expression and words. That is not quite right. This should be done properly. Why do it that way? When NP operates, attentive support or worry may come out brightly and immediately. Are you all right? Should I help? Oh, that must have been hard. When AC operates, responses that try to adjust to the atmosphere may also appear through facial expression and body movement. If the other person becomes awkward, the person may quickly smile or respond strongly to match the atmosphere. When SC operates, personal taste and personal way may stand out clearly in tone of voice, clothing, joke style, and response style, a feeling of that is just like that person can easily appear. In this way, a person with high FC is someone whose inner ego states are clearly seen outside. However, this quick expression needs tuning. Emotions often change quickly, so when FC is high, rather than maintaining the expression of one ego state for a long time, another ego state may immediately appear as emotions change. For example, at first, the mind of CP may come out directly through FC, and the person may say this: "That is not quite right. This should be done properly." But soon, when the person sees the other person's facial expression, or the mind softens. This time, the mind of NP may come out through FC. "Oh, still, that must have been hard. Are you all right? Should I help? Did I speak too strongly?" This changes a natural emotional flow inside the person. However, people around them may see it as responses changing quickly. Because of this, the other person may feel this way. "A moment ago they seemed angry, but suddenly they are taking care of me. They were speaking standards and then quickly softened the atmosphere. What rhythm should I follow?" Because of this, a person with high FC may be seen as lively. But depending on the scene, they may be misunderstood as a person whose emotions change often. A person who is difficult to stay serious with, or a childlike person who cannot regulate emotion, especially when emotional response comes first in an important decision or serious conversation. The other person may feel that it is difficult to place this person at the center of responsible discussion. They bring the atmosphere alive, but it is difficult to trust them with important judgment. They are fun and attractive, but it is difficult to maintain the flow in a serious conversation. It seems emotion comes first, so they cannot hold the conclusion to the end. If this impression repeats, people around them may like this person, but keep them one step back in important discussions or responsible conversations. In other words, a person with high FC can become the center of the atmosphere, but at the same time may be pushed away from the center of important judgment. The most important point to watch in this structure is A. A is 30.4, which is almost the same as the overall average. It is not a completely low ego state. However, there is a gap of more than 11 points from FC at 41.8. Because of this, in actual scenes, FC is likely to respond first before A judges and tunes first. In this structure, emotion may come out before checking, is this expression useful for me? Will I lose something if I say this now? Or is this appropriate for the situation? The person may feel that they only responded honestly. However, the other person may receive it as hasty or centered on the person's own emotion. So the tuning needed for a person with high FC is not to remove expression. FC is a great force that adds life to relationships. It is an important energy that brings scenes alive, connects people, and softens a stiff atmosphere. However, when expression is too quick, it is necessary to add a very short check after the expression. Did I respond too quickly right now? Is the other person also enjoying this atmosphere? Is this the time to be funny or the time to listen? My emotion is changing, but should I hold this topic a little longer? Does this word fit this scene right now? The core of tuning is not killing the response. It is adding a short pause after the response. For example, the person can speak in this way: "I responded too quickly just now. My feeling is like this for now, and I will listen a little more. I said it while laughing, but I am looking at this story seriously. I want to joke right now, but I will listen to this part to the end. My emotion is changing, but I will hold this topic a little longer." These sentences are not words that suppress FC. They are sentences that help FC keep the scene alive without losing trust. To summarize, people with high FC are not simply bright or funny people. They are people whose emotions and ego states that rise moment by moment come out quickly. Because of this, They have great liveliness and charm. But in serious scenes, they may give the impression that emotional changes are frequent or consistency is weak. When we understand these people, it is better to look at them this way. We should look not at what they take lightly, but at what is coming out too quickly. A person with high FC may show the energy of liveliness not only in words, but also in the body. However, nonverbal expressions are not a judgment table. We cannot look at one body gesture and say, this person has high FC. Nonverbal expressions are only reference material. When facial expression, posture, gaze, tone of voice, and distance repeatedly show the same direction, we can carefully estimate which ego state is standing at the front inside that person. A flow that can often be seen in a person with high FC is a direction where emotion comes out through the body before thought. Posture and movement may be free. Body movement may be large and posture changes may appear often depending on the situation. Rather than staying still, the body may respond first. When the person hears a funny story, the body moves forward. When surprised, the facial expression and shoulders move together. When excitement rises, hand gestures may become larger. Facial expression changes may also be quick. Laughter, surprise, disappointment, gladness, and hurt feelings may appear on the face relatively quickly. The person may give the feeling of sharing emotion as it is rather than hiding it. The gaze may also move actively. Rather than staying fixed in one place for a long time, it may move quickly along the flow of the scene and people's responses. The movements of the hands and arms may appear large and rhythmic. There may be many gestures that carry emotion rather than explanation itself. When the person becomes excited, not only the hands, but the whole body may respond together. Characteristics may also appear in the tone and rhythm of speech. The speed of speech may become faster. Exclamations may appear often. The person may respond immediately in the middle of the other person's words, or laughter and words may come out together. The pitch of the voice may also move relatively widely. Because of this, the conversation may feel closer to resonance than to organization. The way the person uses space may also be relatively free. The sense of distance may be loose, and when the person becomes close to others, they may share space quickly. In a gathering, even without intending to, the person may form central energy. The person may feel that they only responded as usual, but people around them may already be gathering their gaze toward that person. However, these nonverbal expressions also need to be read carefully. Large movement may be a simple extroverted habit. Rich facial expression may be because of today's mood. Fast speech may be because of tension, so we must always look at whether several signals repeat together and also at the context of the current scene. To summarize, the nonverbal expressions of FC are not simply light gestures. They are closer to a direction where the emotion and energy inside come quickly outward through the body. The person may feel that they only responded. However, people around them may feel the air changed when that person came. The issue is not whether the response is fast or slow. It is important to see whether that quick response is being used as liveliness that brings the scene alive, or whether it is moving ahead of the situation and making the person look light. So a helpful question for a person with high FC is this: can I leave this emotion as it is for just a little longer? Now, for comparison, let's also look at the average of people with low FC. Here, a low FC score means that the person's FC score is within the bottom 10% among all test participants. The total number of participants is 8,255. The number in this group is 830, and the ratio is 10.1%. The standard is the bottom 10% in FC. When we look at the average scores of their 6 ego states, CP is 30.2, NP is 32.2, A is 30.6, FC is 21.0, AC is 34.7, and SC is 26.7. Compared with the overall average, FC is 9.9 points lower than the overall average of 30.9. This group is a group of people with low FC. However, looking only at low FC is not enough. The more important feature in this group is that several ego states moving inside do not come out easily. FC is the channel that brings emotion and response outside. When this channel is low, even if emotion exists, it may not connect easily to facial expression, tone of voice, and body movement. The ego state that remains relatively at the front in this group is AC. AC is 34.7, almost the same as the overall average, and it is the highest inside this group. And NP, A, and CP are also near the average. In other words, inside there may be standards, consideration, and judgment. However, because FC is low and AC is relatively at the front, these may be adjusted inside rather than expressed directly outside. Is it all right to say this? Will I stand out for no reason? Will the other person see me strangely? Will the atmosphere become awkward if I show this now? These checks may come before expression. Because of this, these people are not people without emotion. However, expression easily stays inside because the channel through which emotion comes out is weak, and AC checks the surroundings first. Even when CP moves, the person may not immediately speak standards strongly. Even when NP moves, warmth may not appear largely through facial expression and words. Even when A moves, the person may not explain thoughts enough outside. AC may even press these expressions more carefully. In addition, SC is also low. SC is 26.7, which is lower than the overall average. Because of this, expression of personal color, personal taste, and personal needs may also appear weakly. In other words, this structure has both a weak expression channel and weak personal color to express. People around them may feel this way. I do not know what they are thinking. I cannot see whether they like it or dislike it. I know they have emotion, but they do not show it well. Their response is small even when we are together. I do not know whether this person is really enjoying it. However, this should not be concluded as indifference. Inside, several ego states may be moving. Because FC is low, they do not come out easily. And because AC is high, they may be pressed more carefully. This structure also has strengths. It may not make large emotional waves. It may not shake the relationship easily. It may be less likely to make the situation difficult through impulsive expression. However, when expression is too small, the mind does not reach the other person, even if it exists. The person may think that they are feeling enough, however, the other person cannot see it. So the tuning point for this group is not to force liveliness. It is to make small responses visible outside. I like it. I'm glad to see you. I also found that part fun. I was a little surprised. It is not that I dislike it. I am thinking about it. I cannot express it well, but I feel thankful. These short sentences do not require large emotional expression. They simply let the other person know. A response is also happening inside this person. To summarize, people with low FC are not people without emotion. Inside, standards, consideration, judgment, and cautiousness may be moving. However, because FC is low, those movements do not come out easily. And because AC checks the surroundings first, expression easily stays inside. The core point is not emotionless. It is that something exists inside, but it is not easily seen outside.